Welcome back from that very short detour, and this is still the Healthy Morning right here on Hstv with me, SAVARA Aiden, and also James Riafi Kwesi. Before we went on that short break, we were talking about some matters that has been trending right here in our country, and also some very disturbing issues right here. So right about now, we're moving on to the front pages. We are delving into the front pages of our Ghanaian newspapers. But before we take the front pages today in the Matters Arising segment, there's a short summary from the Ghana Meteorological Agency about foreseen weather ahead of, I think, today, the 23rd of April 2024, and I read it's just a summary. It says a moderate to heavy rainstorm observed over southern Nigeria is propagating westwards towards Ghana, and it's expected to affect areas within Oti, Volta, Eastern, Central, Ashanti, Bono, and Western regions with thunderstorms or rain of varying intensities and later induce cloudiness over affected areas. So on the screens right there, if you can see, it says gusty winds will precede the storm. So areas to be affected, valid time says Aflao, Kita, Georgie, if I'm correct, Angloga, Hohoi, Akachi, Accra, Kaswa, Ada, Foy, and its surroundings. So we have 0700 UTC to 1130 of UTC as well. So we also have Dodowa, Madina, in Saram, Koforidua, Achimoda, and its surroundings. So this we are having at 1030 UTC to 1300 UTC. And also we have Cape Coast, Takwa, Axim, Takrade, Obuase, Agona, and Trifopraso, and Trifopraso, sorry, forgive me, and its surroundings at 1100 UTC to 1800 UTC. So this is signed by the Ghana Meteorological Agency, the Central Analysis and Forecasting Office. Yes, of course. So I think this is, so anyone around this environment, make sure that you are very much protected before you step out. Make sure that you have your umbrella ready, because at this point, as it has been forecasted by the Ghana Meteorological Agency, we are looking at a heavy rainstorm, and then I think followed by some thunderstorms too as well right there. So I think this is all for the Ghana Meteorological Agency. That's a weather warning for today. So we are moving on to the front pages of our Ghanaian newspapers today.
All right, so let's start off with the graphic business, and right here it says external debt restructuring, a deal with bilateral creditors next month. Government opened fresh talks with Eurobond holders. So let's go into the detail of the story. So the government expects to formalize its agreement with official bilateral creditors to co-chaired by France and China in a memorandum of understanding, which is expected to be signed next month. Minister of Finance Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam has disclosed. So he said the OCC has shared the draft MOU with its member countries and would share the draft with the government of Ghana later next month. This will represent the final step in the country's negotiations with the OCC to restructure bilateral debt of about $5.4 billion. It would also enable the executive board of the International Monetary Fund to sit in June to approve the second review of Ghana's program with the fund, and unlocked the third tranche disbursement of $360 million. So following the formation of the OCC in May 2023, the executive board of the IMF approved Ghana's 3-year IMF program and immediately released the first tranche of $600 to the country. The second tranche of another $600 million was hanged on the first review of the country's IMF program in October 2023. And on October 6th, the IMF staff and the government reached a staff level agreement on the first review. However, an executive board level approved, which which would trigger the release of the money was not possible until the government reached an agreement in January with the OCC in January. So similarly, the government in April this year reached a staff-level agreement with the IMF mission on the second review of the program, but the release of the third tranche is now dependent on the signing of the MOU with the OCC. So coming from the financial sector. And away from that story, right here, it says IMF defends use of common framework in debt and negotiations. And down here it says UBA to generate value for stakeholders. You can read that story on page 17 of Graphic Business. And lastly, it says risk, an inherent part of doing business.
Great. So we're moving on to the Ghanaian Times newspaper today, the 23rd of April 2024, says, written boldly on the front page, that World Bank IMF spring meetings in Washington, D.C. Ghana's economy gains momentum towards stability. So this is coming from the finance minister, and there's an article right there cited on Joy News. Says Ghana's Minister of Finance, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, has announced that the country's economy is moving towards stability, citing the economic progress and strong recovery as key factors. Speaking at a press conference following the spring meetings in Washington on Sunday, April 21st, 2024, Dr. Adam emphasized the significant improvement in Ghana's economic indicators. Now, the MP and also the Finance Minister underscored that the country and its economy stood at 4.3% of the gross domestic product at the end of 2022, has decreased substantially. By the end of 2023, Dr. Adam highlighted that the primary deficit had reduced to a mere 0.3%, marking a remarkable 4 percentage point decrease. He emphasized optimism and stating a surplus of 0.5% of GDP by the end of the current year, with further growth to reach 1.5% of GDP by the following year. So this is coming from the finance minister, and is saying that the country's economy is gradually gaining its strength. So beneath that story, we have the Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, outlines education policy proposal to chess. And also we have man 50 impregnate 14-year-old JHS students, victims sacked from school. So you can read the story on page 3 of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. And also finally, we have F Alpha and Omega Hospital opens, registers 10,000 patients with the NHIS. So this is all we have for you, the Ghanaian Times newspaper today.
Okay, now let's move away from that and move into the Daily Graphic. And on top it says a former PPA CEO pleads not guilty to fresh charges. So let's move into that story. Right here it says the former Chief Executive Officer of the Public Procurement Authority, Ajinim Boateng Ejay, has pleaded not guilty to fresh charges by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. This comes barely an hour after the OSP dropped charges against him and his brother-in-law Francis Kweku Ahen in the previous charge sheet filed on May 18, 2022, and slapped some 17 counts on him. The former CEO of PPA pleaded not guilty to all 8 fresh counts, which comprised 4 counts each of using public office for profit and not indirectly influencing the public procurement process using his office. So in court on Monday, April 2022, the court presided over by Justice Marin Louis Simpson, after taking his plea, admitted him to bail in the sum of 4 million Ghana cedi. He is to produce 2 securities, both of who are to be justified with landed properties. The court also said the registrar is to confirm with the relevant authorities and authenticity of the document, while the scrutins are to produce copies of their Ghana card to the registrar. And down here it says Justin Simpson said the accused is to also produce every passport he has to the registrar of the court. And also the court also said the registrar is to further confirm with the relevant passport and the existence of any other passport issued in the name of the accused person. Away from the story, says financing electricity and water extension. So consumers can claim refund. This coming from the PURC. And on top it says North records high free SHS enrollment coming from the Education Minister. And lastly, CTAG gives government May 31st to implement NLC awards.
We're moving on to the Daily Post newspaper. Says next NDC government will prioritize basic level education. So this is coming from John Dramani Mahama, as he's stating that the next NDC government, if being elected as president coming December 7th, will prioritize basic level education. So you can read the story on page 6 and 7 of the Daily Post newspaper. Beneath that story, we have Edu Ampoma and Amwa no lithovet is liquid fertilizer. So this is coming from Cocoa Board. And also finally we have MPP trying to bribe us but will not trade our integrity on the altar of corruption incompetence. So this is coming from Alan's supporters, as they are saying that the New Patriotic Party is trying to bribe them but will not trade their integrity on the altar of corruption and incompetence.
All right, so away from that, let's move into the Daily Guide. And right here it says Interpol arrest warrant for jailed ex-Maslock boss. So right here it says the High Court in Accra has issued an arrest warrant in respect of convicted former Chief Executive Officer of Maxlock, that's Sedina Christine Ationu Tamaklo, described as a fugitive convict in an ex-parte motion for an arrest warrant filed by the state prosecutor. The court said the motion is granted as prayed. The former CEO of Maxlock was jailed for 10 years in hard labor for causing financial loss to the state on April 16th. Daniel Axim, former Maxlock head of operation, was also jailed. So in court on Monday, April 2022, Assistant State Attorney, that's Yvonne Yachi Adumakum, while moving the motion ex-parte for an arrest warrant to be issued, said the fugitive was convicted on all 78 counts. I have before you a motion ex-parte for an arrest warrant to be issued for the arrest of the second respondent, that's Sedina Tamaklo, Miss Yanchi Prade. So while relying also on the motion paper and supporting affidavit as well as the annexure, she said the fugitive was convicted on April 16th after being found guilty of 78 counts. She submitted that a copy of the judgment and the warrant to commit the fugitive into prison custody to serve her sentence have also been attached. We pray humbly that based on the fact and the attached exhibit, we have demonstrated sufficient grounds for the issuance of the said warrant to arrest the convict, the Assistant State of Attorney submitted. We humbly pray that this court grant our application, she added. So Justice Lydia Osema, after hearing submission from the Assistant Attorney General, granted the motion as prayed. So moving away from that story, let's move on to the next story making news. So it says two nabbed over U.S. national murder. And on the other side it says Baumia shares education vision with Chas. You can read our story on page 6 of the Daily Graphic. And down, ex-PPA boss discharge. And lastly, 6,000 abandoned islands movement.
All right, great. So we are moving on to the next newspaper, which is the New Crusading Guide newspaper. Today says the top right says my NPP executive condemn Navy over killings. So the story you can read on page 10 of the New Crusading Guide newspaper. And also we have Charles embraces Baumia's Chase embraces Baumia's vision for education. So this story, we have its full details right here for you. As I read, it states that the Vice President Mahamadou Baumia, in a significant development for Ghana's education sector, engaged in constructive talks with the National Executive of the Conference of Heads and Assisted Secondary Schools on the 22nd of April 2024. The meeting yielded promising insight into refining the free senior high school policy and advancing broader education reforms. Dr. Baumia seized the opportunity to articulate his forward-looking vision, emphasizing his plans for an enhanced credit system in bolstering educational infrastructure and supporting teaching and non-teaching staff. His proposals, initially introduced during his address at the University of Professional Studies on Friday the 7th of April, outline a strategic framework aimed at addressing key challenges facing Ghana's educational landscape. Central to Dr. Bawumia's plan in the centralization of private sector involvement in building critical infrastructure such as dormitories and classrooms. Under this scheme, the government would rent these facilities from private developers over a designated period, eventually assuming ownership. Additionally, the proposal includes provision of liaison buses to schools, thereby mitigating the burden of upfront government expenditure and also the delays commonly associated with infrastructure projects funded through the Ghana Education Trust Fund. So this is coming from this organization, as they are saying that the education or the vision by Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia has been critically taken care of and will be adhered to. So you can find more stories of this very issue on the page 3 and 10 of the new Crusading Guide. Also, beside that story, we have Ghana's economy set to full recovery. So IMF mission chief, as he's saying that Ghana's economy is set to for full recovery. We also have truck driver jailed 6 months in train crash case. This is serious. Truck driver jailed 6 months in train crash case. Also, demolition of 10 houses at Adjingano. Owners set record straight. Demolition of 10 houses at Adjingano. Owners set record straight. And finally, Gomwa Asen Omanhene rallies chiefs for peaceful election.
Okay, so away from that, let's move into the Chronicle. It starts off with a story that's been trending for some time now. It says police arrest 4 more suspects of a train accident, and we're going to move into the detail of the story. So 4 more persons have been picked up by the police for the alleged role in the last week's train accident at Abutia in the Volta region. They are Koko Kujo, a 33-year-old welder, Patrick Kweku Sosu, a 52-year-old laborer, Alaza Prosper, a 28-year-old laborer, and Fiadube Emmanuel, a 31-year-old laborer. So the 4 accused persons have been charged with abetment of unlawful damage. They are alleged to move aided by Abel Adito, the driver of the truck, which caused unlawful damage to a diesel multiple unit train. The High Court, presided over by Justice Mrs. Lydia Osemafu, did not take their plea and remanded them into the police custody pending further investigation into the matter. The prosecution, led by Christabel Selma Anafo, Assistant State Attorney, prayed the court not to take pleas of the accused persons as investigations were underway. So Asa Anafo asked the court to remand them into police custody and grant them a short adjournment. The court obliged the prosecution's prayer and asked the accused person to secure lawyers of their choice by the next adjourned date. The facts, as read out in court, are that the complainant is David Divine Olute, an engineer of the Ghana Railway Corporation. The prosecution said on Monday, on April 18, 2024, between the hours of 1, the accused persons were on board of Hyundai Gold truck with registered number GS 90120, driven by Adito Abel, now a convict. The prosecution said preliminary investigation revealed that Kujo, the first accused person, bought some blocks from the block factory at Druapong and conveyed some to the Abutia using the underpass by the railway lines. So the court heard that the convict was in the car with the 4 accused persons. After discharging the blocks at the Kuko site, the prosecution said they decided to avoid the underbridge and cross the railway lines with the vehicle. So according to prosecution, the 4 accused persons, being fully aware that the railway lines were inaccessible to motor vehicles, still decided to use the railway lines as short to get to Juapong. And lastly, on the paragraph, it says the prosecution said when they arrived all the railway lines, they realized that it was impossible to cross over the railway track. Hence, they decided to place stones on the railway line to serve as path for the track to cross over. However, the prosecution said the track still got stuck on the railway line. The accused person titled the head of the track and left the scene without providing any warning for trains applying the track. So this is the information coming in. As of now, we have a 4 suspect who's also been arrested for further investigation. And lastly, he says no court ordered demolition of my over 60 million Ghana houses. This is coming from the MPP financier alleges. So these are the stories we have on the front page of our newspapers, and we are going to post them on all of our social media platform. Moving there, let us know what you think about these stories. But let's move back a bit and still talk about Dumso. We've had a lot of people, political leaders coming in, challenging the energy sector, saying that they should give us a clear understanding as to what is really happening. Is it Dumso that it is back, or is something else? And other people, we have chiefs also saying that some leaders should step aside for new people to come in to be able to help curb the situation, all the challenges we are finding in Dumso. I think we have some videos to it. Quickly, let's go check them out. When we come back, we'll wrap up the whole segment.
ECG, why? ECG, why? Why? ECG, what have we done? Why? ECG, why? ECG, why? ECG, why? Why? ECG, what have we done? Why? ECG, why? ECG, why? ECG, why? Why? ECG, what have we done? Why?
But people, as you see, I'm not coming from the pool side. I mean, I sweat a lot, pa. So light was off, generator was on. I just put the generator off to go somewhere. So that little 5 to 10 minutes, less than trying to put some switches off in the room, picking the top, my bag, my phone. This is what I was blessed with. Hi, this government, they will help you burn calories. Quiet calories government. Over burning calories. So look, free calories burning government. Please, there's no Dumso. Hey God, no, there's no Dumso. We are the ones who put the light off in our houses, and then we just enjoy the heat and the darkness. There's no Dumso at all. You say there's Dumso, you hate the government. There's no Dumso. Yeah.
Okay, so right on our screen says some great personalities we know right here in Ghana. I'm talking of Bella Mundi and also DKB sharing the struggle they have to deal with when it comes to Dumso right here in Ghana. I know you're also facing some difficulties and unexpected light outs in your area. Drop in your comments, let us know how this thing is affecting business. Already, we have some people complaining bitterly about how sales are going down due to them not having light to work or make work easy and accessible, and we're hoping the energy ministry is going to do something swift or come out and let us know this is their issue. Give us a timetable, a schedule for us to know when our lights are going to be on and when our lights are going to be off. So again, we're streaming live on our YouTube channel. We have Hstv Live GH. Moving right there, click on the link, share it with your friends, like our page, and drop in your comment. Let us know what you think about the conversation and discussions we're having live on the show. Now let's go for a 10. When we come back, we're moving into the world of sport.
I can't believe I come Mama will miss calls, must send the voice notes.
Hello?
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, Agwezi.
Pull. Ya gayo. You say.
Yeah.
Na, abotre ko say. Sa ahoboko de. Ugusu twa ponko ne sia na se ugusu horo nkura na ho.
Yeah, Kozu.
O kana boko bi su ugusu. I'm not to be beer, and done me see, Mariana, sir. It me so a cat ties can clear me. It is an about 50,000. And mammy, now meeting found stars in you.
All right, well, Mate.
Why? Mate. Bye bye. Okay. I see ya. Bombocrats.
When you say, Baba.
Send the voice notes, me for many be say money a groom a nigga. My clock the TikTok, been waiting all day. Trying to be for me and I go send the Uber. Canning a me pens and a fed ya me bubuda. Eto da blue kiosk, on a me buddha. Renny me shoddy get it, give me home me kwesi dia ya nati. Makumo me obiba, maybe me do ma kwesi. Say what me see da ina da chipi me sa me chima be fie ma betna. Me buy and a kwesi. What the missing can now worry by I get it. I jam a kumoe, O'Brien kumoe. I can't believe say I come in kumoe. I'm on the sun, Mama.